Today is a beautiful day to delve into the most riveting and emotionally charged developments unfolding in our favorite Los Angeles fashion dynasties. The drama has reached an absolute fever pitch, and we are here to break down every intense moment. Let us jump right into the heart of the conflict. The blood spilled on the pristine floors of the beach house has ignited a firestorm that threatens to consume two of the most powerful families in Los Angeles. Will Spencer's violent eruption, a direct result of the crushing psychological weight imposed by the ruthless corporate espionage orchestrated by his own parents, has left R.J. Forrester battered and bruised. This was not merely a scuffle between two young men fighting over the affections of Electra Forrester. It was the explosive culmination of weeks of deceit, betrayal, and unbearable pressure. Ridge Forrester, operating in a state of cold-blooded, vengeful fury, has already cornered Electra with a terrifying ultimatum demanding she sever all ties with Will or face the destruction of her career. But Ridge's wrath does not stop at corporate banishment. He is actively pushing for Will to face severe criminal charges, a move that would see the Spencer heir handcuffed, prosecuted, and potentially locked behind bars. The looming threat of a prison sentence has elevated this family feud from a boardroom skirmish to a visceral, life-altering crisis, forcing the patriarchs of both dynasties to step out of the shadows and confront the devastating wreckage left in the wake of their children's actions. In the rarefied air of Los Angeles elite, Eric Forrester and Bill Spencer have long existed as opposing forces, titans ruling over their respective empires with distinct philosophies. Eric, the revered founder of Forrester Creations, has always cloaked his ruthless business acumen in the guise of artistic integrity, family honor, and moral superiority. Bill, the unapologetic titan of Spencer Publications, has worn his ruthlessness as a badge of honor, relying on the raw power of the almighty dollar to obliterate his enemies and protect his own. They have clashed countless times over business acquisitions, media empires, and the women they love. Yet, the current crisis involving their flesh and blood has forced these two sworn adversaries into a profoundly uncomfortable alignment. The violence between Will and RJ has transcended their usual battlegrounds, stripping away the glamorous veneer of the fashion world to reveal the raw, primal instinct of fathers desperate to protect their lineage. It is under this dark, oppressive cloud of impending legal ruin that a rare and highly secretive meeting takes place. Far from the flashing cameras of the runway and the prying eyes of their respective families, Eric and Bill find themselves seated across from one another in a dimly lit, neutral space. The atmosphere is thick with palpable contempt, a heavy silence stretching between them before a single word is spoken. Eric sits with a rigid, aristocratic posture, his eyes blazing with a mixture of disgust and sorrow over the injuries inflicted upon his grandson. Bill, ever the imposing figure, leans forward, his usual arrogant smirk replaced by a grim, hard-lined expression of parental desperation. This is not a negotiation over stock options or magazine covers. This is a desperate barter for a young man's freedom and the preservation of two family legacies. To understand the gravity of this sit-down, one must delve into the complex psychology of Dollar Bill Spencer. Bill is a man who believes that every problem in the world has a price tag, a deeply ingrained philosophy that has served him well in the cutthroat world of global publishing. However, when it comes to his sons, Bill's ruthless exterior masks a fierce, almost blinding protective instinct. He knows that Will's violent snap was the direct collateral damage of the secret hope by Logan launch a corporate coup that Bill himself funded and Katie Logan orchestrated. They swore Will to absolute secrecy, forcing him to lie to Electra, the woman he loved, ultimately driving the young man to a psychological breaking point. Bill is acutely aware of his own culpability in his son's downfall, and the thought of Will wearing a prison jumpsuit because of a Spencer Logan business maneuver is a reality Bill simply cannot accept. He is willing to move heaven and earth and spend every dime of his vast fortune to ensure Will does not pay the ultimate price for his parents' ambitions. Breaking the heavy silence, Bill lays his cards on the table, presenting Eric with an underground, backroom deal that is as audacious as it is manipulative. Bill offers to completely pull the plug on the massive, multi-million-dollar advertising campaigns currently propelling the Hope by Logan brand into the stratosphere. This is a staggering concession. The Logan launch has completely hijacked the international media narrative, severely threatening to turn Eric's highly anticipated return to haute couture into a humiliating financial flop. By offering to kill the Logan marketing machine, Bill is essentially handing Eric the spotlight back, sacrificing his own company's momentum and Hope Logan's immediate triumph to save his son. The condition, however, is absolute. Eric must use his ultimate patriarchal authority to rein in Ridge, convincing his vengeful son to drop all criminal charges and keep the police entirely out of the beach house brawl. Eric's immediate reaction is one of profound, visceral disgust. He listens to Bill's transactional approach to violence with a sickening feeling in his stomach. To Eric, Bill's proposal represents everything that is wrong with the Spencer ethos, the arrogant belief that money and power can simply erase accountability, that a brutal assault on his grandson RJ can be swept under the rug with a lucrative corporate concession. Eric looks at the man across from him and sees a moral void, a father willing to corrupt the justice system to shield a violent offender. Eric's voice, when he finally speaks, is laced with aristocratic disdain, lecturing Bill on the concepts of honor, consequence, and the sacred duty to teach their children right from wrong. He vividly reminds Bill of RJ's battered face, the physical manifestation of Will's uncontrollable rage, and fiercely rejects the notion that such trauma can be bought off with a marketing truce. Yet, beneath Eric's sanctimonious outrage lies a chilling, pragmatic reality that he cannot easily ignore. As the patriarch of Forrester Creations, Eric is tasked with protecting not just his family's physical well-being, but the pristine public image of their global brand. If Ridge proceeds with pressing charges, the ensuing criminal trial will inevitably become a media circus. The press will dig into the motives behind the assault, unearthing the humiliating corporate sabotage of Hope's defection, the bitter family rivalries, and the toxic secrets that led to the violence. RJ and Elektra would be dragged onto the witness stand, their private pain broadcast to the world. Furthermore, Eric is acutely aware that his haute couture collection, his legacy project, is currently bleeding money and attention because of the Logan launch. Bill's offer to withdraw the Logan ad campaigns is a lifeline that could save Forrester Creations from a devastating financial blow. The moral high ground, Eric realizes with a heavy heart, is a luxury that comes at a catastrophic cost. The sheer logistical difficulty of Bill's request also weighs heavily on Eric's mind. Ridge is currently operating on pure, unadulterated instinct, a father out for blood to avenge his injured son. Ridge has already demonstrated his ruthlessness by cornering Elektra and demanding her absolute loyalty, effectively weaponizing her career to punish Will. Convincing Ridge to stand down, to swallow his rage, and let Will walk away unpunished will require Eric to exert a level of dominance that could severely fracture his relationship with his son. Eric knows that Ridge will view this secret deal as a betrayal, a prioritization of corporate optics over family justice. To accept Bill's offer means Eric must prepare for a massive, potentially destructive confrontation within his own household, taking on the burden of Ridge's fury to secure a fragile peace. As the intense negotiation continues, the dynamic in the room begins to shift. The mutual contempt remains, but it is slowly joined by a dark, uncomfortable realization of their shared patriarchal burden. Eric looks at Bill, a man desperately trying to clean up his son's mess through manipulation and power, and suddenly, the reflection in the mirror becomes uncomfortably familiar. Eric is forced to confront his own history of bending the rules, manipulating circumstances, and demanding impossible sacrifices to protect the Forrester name. Has Eric not demanded absolute, one-sided loyalty from his own wife, Donna, forcing her to keep his vulnerable health secrets while simultaneously punishing her for keeping Katie's? Has Eric not repeatedly prioritized the preservation of Forrester creations over the emotional well-being of those around him? Bill, possessing an uncanny ability to read the weaknesses of his opponents, senses Eric's internal conflict and capitalizes on it. He does not apologize for his methods. Instead, he challenges Eric's moral superiority. Bill points out that the Forrester family is hardly a bastion of pure, uncompromised virtue. He reminds Eric that they are both men who have spent decades playing God with the lives of their employees and loved ones, wielding their immense wealth to shape reality to their liking. Bill argues that this is not about right or wrong, it is about survival. It is about preventing the complete annihilation of two young men's futures over a momentary lapse of sanity. Bill's argument is a bitter pill for Eric to swallow, an unapologetic defense of patriarchal corruption that strips away Eric's refined facade and exposes the raw, ugly truth of their shared existence. The conversation highlights the tragic, cyclical nature of the Forrester and Spencer rivalry. For generations, these families have engaged in a relentless tug-of-war, passing down their feuds, their ambitions, and their toxic coping mechanisms to their children. Hope, RJ, Will, and Elektra are merely the latest casualties in a war that Eric and Bill helped engineer. The patriarchs are now forced to sit in the ruins of the disaster they cultivated, recognizing that their relentless pursuit of dominance has poisoned the younger generation. Will's violence and RJ's suffering are the direct manifestations of the high-stakes, pressure cooker environment created by Forrester Creations and Spencer Publications. In this dimly lit room, Eric and Bill must reckon with the fact that they are not just fixing a singular mistake, but desperately trying to patch a fundamentally broken system of their own design. The negotiation reaches its grueling climax. The terms are silently, begrudgingly accepted in an atmosphere thick with mutual disdain. Eric will leverage his supreme authority as the head of the Forrester family to force Ridge to back down, ensuring that no police are called, no charges are filed, and Will Spencer remains a free man. In exchange, Bill will immediately pull the financial plug on the Hope by Logan advertising blitz, effectively castrating the marketing momentum of his own enterprise to allow Eric's haute couture collection to reclaim the spotlight. There are no handshakes, no expressions of gratitude, only a cold, hard acknowledgement of a transaction completed. It is a deal forged in the darkest corners of their parental devotion, a pact that binds them together in a shared conspiracy of silence. For Eric Forrester, this secret agreement represents a profound compromise of his personal honor. He is actively choosing to subvert the justice system, to deny RJ the legal retribution he deserves, all to protect the pristine image of his company and avoid a messy public scandal. He is adopting the very tactics he has spent a lifetime condemning Bill Spencer for using. As Eric prepares to leave the meeting, he carries the heavy burden of his own hypocrisy. He has proven that, when pushed to the absolute brink, he is no different from the ruthless titan sitting across from him. Both men are willing to sacrifice truth, justice, and their own moral compasses on the altar of family protection. The realization is a bitter, haunting truth that will forever alter Eric's perception of his own legacy. As the two patriarchs part ways, the immediate crisis may be averted, but the seeds for a much larger, more destructive conflict have been sown. Eric now faces the monumental task of confronting a bloodthirsty Ridge, a conversation that is guaranteed to ignite a volcanic eruption within the Forrester mansion. Ridge will demand to know why his father is protecting the man who brutally assaulted his son, and Eric will be forced to lie to conceal the corporate transaction that bought Will's freedom. If the truth of this backroom deal ever comes to light, if Ridge, RJ, or Elektra discover that Justice was traded for advertising space, the fallout will be apocalyptic. The fragile peace forged in this secret meeting is built on a foundation of lies, a ticking time bomb waiting to detonate and destroy whatever trust remains within these fractured dynasties. In the end, this rare and intense collision between Eric Forrester and Bill Spencer serves as a master class in the terrifying lengths to which powerful men will go to protect their bloodlines. It is a chilling reminder that behind the glittering gowns and the polished magazine covers, the fashion world is ruled by primal instincts and ruthless pragmatism. Eric and Bill, bound by a secret they must take to their graves, have proven that in the high-stakes game of Los Angeles royalty, honor is merely a currency to be traded when the survival of the family is on the line. As we watch this explosive storyline continue to unfold, one thing is absolutely certain: the consequences of this dark pact will echo through the halls of Forrester Creations and Spencer Publications for years to come.